working on a little book of mine called Marav's Pursuit of Happiness. Um, Myles here. And we've been working our way through the alphabet. So, um, we are almost at the end. This is actually from the M, but I wanted to show Myles in his little motorboat because he does love racing boats. What we're doing today for Y is, well, a little bit bigger. So I was imagining Myles, because he is a kind of a spoiled rich kid, buying himself his first his I can't say his first yacht because his old man has a yacht, but his first own yacht. And I was thinking, okay, what do they call those like little yachts? It's like, oh, pocket cruiser. Anyways, the one that Myles is going for is the Azimouse Nerve 42. In case anyone happens to be familiar with luxury yachts, I basically am only through the internet because I've had a couple characters who've had them. But it's a spoof. Well, I don't know, spoof. It's a version. It's the Rat and Mouse World version of the Azimut Verve 42, and you can there's various like yachts walkthrough videos online, which are all kind of interesting. But anyways, figured when Azimut came up, I'm like, oh, we can change that name to something that fits with the Rat and Mouse world easily, Azimouse. And instead of Verve Nerve, we'll leave the number the same, 42. Of course, for Myles being, half rat, half mouse, one supposes that a 42-foot yacht is massive. I mean, well, actually, a 42-foot yacht is massive regardless, but, particularly if you're only, 5 feet tall or something like that, is my guess. I wouldn't know personally, but, anyways. So, our first page of the night is going to have Myles looking at the brochure, and then we will be drawing Myles on the yacht. Now, the idea with this project is that right now I am doing these 2-page drawings or, pairs of drawings. And I've kind of been randomly picking what I'm drawing each week, but just that it had to start with a letter from the alphabet. Hi, True Blue Islander. Welcome to the show. How's it going? So for this project, I've been kind of going and randomly picking things, and then I will be writing some short stories to go with these drawings. And then at a later date, after next week, we're going to put this particular project on the back burner while I go write those stories. And then at a later date, we'll come back, and if there's anything I want to redraw or if I want to add supplementary drawings. Hello, Roro Mixtapes. I should make the text a little bit bigger on my laptop so I can read people's names, even though I got my reading glasses on still. And True Blue Islander says, I love it. Well, thank you. Um, so, anyways, about my nib deciding that this is a great time to be a little bit cloggy, but that's okay. This nib doesn't seem to realize it's getting replaced just as soon as the new version that I ordered comes. But anyways, so we're using the thinner nib here on Myles's hair. Myles, a little bit of a Elvis wannabe, so he's got that pompadour thing going on. I will go in with a thicker nib and like black out some of the shadow areas, but I find it works well to have these thinner lines first because then the highlights will not just be solid white, it'll look a little more like actual hair. So, we may go in and put some shading in Myles's ears as we go along, but that'll be afterwards. And I usually work at least with this with the, dip pen. By the way, I'm using India ink. I just got in a shot glass off to the side, so if you see me reaching around, that's what I'm doing. Um, because it's a liquid ink, I normally like to work top, down, particularly top left down towards the bottom right, just because 'cause I'm right-handed and I'm clumsy, and that minimizes but doesn't completely eliminate the smudging that I do. So, I'm kinda working a little bit fast on this page. Uh, this is a bit of a simpler drawing, and I just know from experience that page 2 is probably gonna be, like, an hour and a half long drawing with all the detail that needs to go into it, so, um, anyways, and it's always a little this is a bit of an odd, um, size to do Miles's head and to do it with pen and ink. I mean, I've done a painting of Miles. That was like a 2-foot square, and his head was a little even bigger, but that's different because it was acrylic, so, um, I just find that a little bit, easier to manage, um, and to have it look realistic versus pen and ink, but, you know, usually when I'm working pen and ink, Miles's head is about like that, so, um, but there are several drawings in the book where Miles is I was gonna say, big head, swollen ego, however you wanna phrase it, is about exactly this scale. So, I think there was a drawing, quite a while back where I had Miles, I filled in his glasses as a black frame, and people were asking if it was, supposed to be Harry Potter as a rat. It's like, well, I'm sure he thinks he's got a magic wand, but no, Miles is, a little more mundane than that. He is an accountant, actually. Not that he really like I said, his old man's got a yacht, so Miles, didn't need to go become an accountant and launch his own, accountancy firm, but he just wanted to. He's weird like that. Apparently likes math and numbers. So, David and Maddie Wee, hello and welcome to the stream. I'm glad you're enjoying the drawing so far. So I'll just pop in. I always just do the 3 whiskers. Of course, actual mice have way more whiskers than that, but 3 seems to be a good comic convention for signaling there's a bunch without getting too, messy. Of course, I said I usually work top down and left to right, but sometimes I get a little bit, tunnel visioned on the center, but we will need to come over and, uh, at least outline. Sometimes it also works better to work front to back so you know exactly where your, boundaries are. The human mice are a rat. He is the characters are all, kind of he's a mouse man. Well, there's mice men, there's rat men, and then Miles, his dad is a mouse man and his mom is a rat woman, so he's kind of he's half and half. But yeah, they're all uh, humanoid rodent people. And he's part of the world he belongs to is from my a comic project I'm working on called Ricky B. the Rock and Roll Rat, where the main character is actually Ricky. And on the Friday night streams, we draw Ricky. Miles is related in the sense that he is Ricky's girlfriend's cousin. So he's the one who often gets stuck with chaperoning Ricky, and the girlfriend's name is Barbara, but everyone calls her Baby. So it's a movie. No, it's not a movie. It's a graphic novel I'm working on. Who knows? Maybe someday it would be a movie. But, right now it is a comic book that's in progress. So, I've posted some one-off, comics with these characters that for a while I was doing, like, random single panel cartoons using markers and posting them on, social media. I think there would be a link to the Ricky B, the Rock and Roll Rat page, in the description of the video. Let me have a look here. Yeah, in the description of the video, if you go way down to the bottom, it says Ricky B the Rock and Roll Rat links, and then it's got rickybtherockandrollrat.com. So that's the main website of it. It's because I've been focusing on working on a graphic novel instead of random webcomics. Okay. No worries, David. I know it's like I think half of my viewers are on the other side of the world. So for me, it's, just early evening, but I know for some people it's, it's after midnight or it's 8 in the morning or all sorts of stuff. I've also had people say, okay, I got to go to school now. So thank you for stopping by and thank you for the subscribe. And I stream every weeknight at this time. So pop by anytime. See you again soon. All right, so I'm going to soak that nib because his jacket is just going to be plain black, so we can fill that in with a fatter one like that. And that also lets that nib kind of soak in some water and think about its life decisions where it's wanting to clog up. It all depends on the day. Sometimes I have some of my nibs where one day they will be very, very cloggy, the next day they will be absolutely perfect. And, so some days they just need to soak a little more. You're in Puerto Rico. Oh, okay. Yeah. So Eastern Standard Time. But yeah, I hear you. 9:42. When I was, in my 20s, I always thought, oh, who goes to bed before midnight? And now I'm like 9 o'clock. I'm like, it's time to start getting ready for bed. So, and you love the drawings? Thank you. Probably actually just use a brush for this area to get it nice and kind of a flat black, but sometimes it's nice to have a little bit of the breaking up of the black because, it gives the sense of the fabric having some sheen. And it's kind of funny for researching. Once I knew I was going to do yachts, or Miles looking at into buying a yacht for um, tonight's stream, I was watching like YouTube videos touring this particular yacht model and all this sort of stuff. I think my YouTube is going to be very confused in the algorithm now. It's like, oh, shall we show her more yacht videos? Yeah, not really. Maybe someday. It was kind of interesting to see all like the amount of stuff that they can cram into one of those yachts, but at the same time, I am basically a landlubber, so it doesn't really matter, and I wouldn't have the budget to buy an Azimoute anyways. But it's fun to watch the video tours and imagine that someday, you know, I'm gonna leave Miles's face a little simpler, just because that's kind of stylistically what I've done. Now, last week when I had him kind of looking all sour-faced, um, through one of his childhood pairs of, X-ray specs, where he's looking all disappointed, I did put shading on the face and whatnot, but I'm kinda not happy with how it turned out. I think it's for at least for consistency through this book project, keeping his face kind of a plain outline, I think works best. And I'll probably actually put some thicker lines in his tail. I kind of make, you know, their tails aren't really segmented, but they kind of have little talking actual rats and actual mice. They kind of have like little short lines of fur like that along their tail, which then makes it look segmented. So add some thicker lines around Miles's tail. So with this being the Y drawing for Miles Marav's Pursuit of Happiness, that means next week we are doing Z. Just got a corner of trying to soak up some of the excess ink that popped off. Really doesn't show up very well on camera, but that just pulled a little bit of excess off. Um, anyways, so we will be coming to the end of this phase of this project. Like I said at the beginning, that I have to go and write a bunch of short stories narrated by Miles. So what's going to end up happening next week, or not next week? Next week is Z, but the week after that, we are going to be starting a new project. And also, I'm just going to say, if you're wondering why does Miles have black nails, well, he has claws because rats and mice. Granted that rats and mice claws tend to be white, but it just kind of looks weird to me. So, or they kind of look, if you just outline them like that, it looks a little strange. I think there is one drawing in Ricky B, the rock and roll rat, where Ricky's claws are drawn that way, but usually when they're on this kind of scale, I just kind of make them black. And I've definitely had previous drawings of Miles where if you see his hands big enough, you see that he's got the black claws. So, there, we've got one hand drawn, and now let's start drawing this pamphlet that Miles is reading that is designed to separate him from his money. So, the actual logo for the Azimut Yacht Company is kind of like that. It's just kind of like a greater than less than sign on its side, or I guess like a mountaintop or whatever. Kind of a vague little thing, but I decided for the parody version as a mouse, we're gonna make it. I mean, obviously that's a stylized A. We're gonna make it a slightly different stylized A. There's some waves to indicate that A to echo the whiskers, just like that echoes the ear. So it kind of could look like a stylized mouse head. Also looks like the sea. Although you probably wouldn't want to be out yachting if you've got a huge curling wave like that. But um, anyways, The thing that I always notice with these luxury brand companies, they do weird things with the kerning on their font. Like they spread them out in a bit of a weird way. So we're going to do that with Azimouse. Not super even, but there we go. And now let's do on this side. This is kind of the page that gives kind of the outline. I'm not doing this quite as an overhead real drawing, but or as a technical spec drawing. But we are going to kind of have the general idea of the boat. So the azimuth verve, azimut verve 42 has three outboard engines, and they're massive outboard engines. Um, Top speed is actually apparently like 45 knots per hour. So, and then it's got a little seating area there and a little table. And then this is, well, you can walk on really from either side, but I'm not going to worry about explaining too much of the layout. But we're going to get the general gist of things. So that's actually where the bridge is, the helm. And then you would walk down this side. And the actual yacht, of course, is symmetrical. I have not properly drawn it here, but and then there's like a little seating area here with another little table. And then there's a sunbed area. And we're not going to actually bother writing in tiny text. We'll just assume that there is some marketing speak up uh, on this side. So, you know, we're pretty much just going to black out everything here because we're going to assume that Miles's arm is kind of coming down like that. And then his jacket's over top. And by the time we get here, the brochure is blocking out um, his shirt. So then we're going to let's soak this nib again, just because I don't trust it. And we are then going to use the fatter one to black out Miles's coat. And this page will be done fairly quickly. I don't want to go so far as to be certain that it's going to be done within 15 minutes, but it probably will be, and then we'll be on to the second page. Any areas that I want to touch up later, I can always, I got to scan all of this into Photoshop, of course, and then work from there. So any boo-boos I make, like I'm not, like there's a little bit in his jaw where that line of his jacket went a little too far. That's going to go away later. Actually think I'm going to say screw it and use a brush to black in. Sometimes it's the most even way to spread the ink. Although this is a kind of a crappy brush, so it doesn't hold a point, so I do have to be kind of careful. think of it, despite what I said earlier, I think I want to just black out that part of his jacket. All right. Now let's draw in the front page of this brochure. Draw in his knuckles first. A little arrow there. So I know I might want to tweak that there. Now, this front illustration is based on what the Azimuth Verve 42 is. It kind of looks like, but I'm not trying to make it look exactly like it. Um, we're just kind of getting the idea of a boat that's a luxury yacht. A little too much water in it, but I think it should dry basically opaque, so we'll be fine. And if I find that this actually is drying more gray, doesn't match the other side, I can always fix it in Photoshop. So, there we have it. We've got Miles reading the brochure. The first step to separating a fool from his money is to give him a brochure. In this case, it's, well, I mean, who knows about the economics of the rat and mouse world, but in the real world, these are $1.5 million yachts. So we will set this page aside because now we've got another one that we need to draw. And that is Miles. Sure looks like he actually bought this stupid thing. So again, we're going to start from the top left and work our way down. These poles sticking out. I don't know if they're antennas or not because I thought the round things were antennas, but anyways. I have absolutely no idea what this thing in the middle is. Some other kind of antenna, perhaps. But it seemed to be on a lot of the reference photos that I looked at. I think the round ones are the antennas for like satellite TV and whatnot. So this one may be like a radar or something. I don't know. So before we go any further, let's add a few clouds into the sky. Not because it's a bad weather day, but because we want to just kind of establish, yes, that is sky. I'll assume that this bay has a little bit of, you know, that kind of a mouth to it, with a couple little peninsulas that stick out and surround the bay. Maybe there's a small far island off there. I think I was starting to talk about the next project we're going to be doing on Mondays, starting the week after next. So it's actually going to be illustrating a short story that involves, well, I mentioned Miles is the cousin of Ricky B, the rock and roll rat's girlfriend, baby. So it's a story that's narrated by Ricky, but Miles is in it a little bit towards the end of it. And what I'm going to do with that story is it'll be what they sometimes call a reader magnet for newsletters. So it'll, once it's all done, it'll be like a free, sign up for the newsletter and get the story for free. But we're going to be illustrating it. And it is actually a Thanksgiving episode because I figured by the time I get all the drawings done, we will be in Thanksgiving season, you know, which here in Canada, that's in October. And of course, our American friends have their Thanksgiving in November. So the plan is to have the story done, um, illustrated, and then have a PDF version of it up for download by kind of the end of September. So, um, but it's the story of one particular Thanksgiving at in Ratsville, that Ricky attends, and also gets into some lore, family history lore, and all that sort of stuff between him and Barbara and Miles, and also kind of has, well, I guess for anyone who watches my Friday streams, they will have already been introduced to some of the characters from Ricky's work, but we'll meet more of them. And, yeah, so it should be a fun little story. And, so that will be started, 2 weeks from tonight. I'm gonna draw most of this with the thin, pen, and then afterwards, I'm gonna come in with the fatter nib and add some shadows, and that's gonna, give a little more heft and, make some areas kind of stand out or not and whatnot. Also gonna leave some areas like the sea. We'll probably do that more with a much finer, like a crow quill, to have really fine detail. It'll get bolder as we get back um, closer to us, but I just realized I forgot to put more shadow into Miles's hair on the first drawing, but that's okay. We can do that. Um, we can do that at the end. Wonder if the yacht company threw in the captain's hat for free, or if that was an extra upcharge, upsell. I had to think about how hats would work in this world. I figure it is all the hats, instead of being round like our hats are, they're all kind of like shaped like a peanut so that the ears can pop out in between on either side. Here we have the tail. Trying to be mindful of every so often swishing out um, this nib. I've got like 3 bowls of water off to the side for cleaning because that kind of helps it not to get too clogged up if I'm flushing ink out as I go. So, mm, of course, we're going to have the comically large key. 'Cause that helps make it clear what Miles has got there, especially at this scale. Now, Miles here is on his own on his boat. At least we're not seeing anyone else. He does have a thing for the ladies, but I just envision him as when it comes to his boats, that he would want to be left the hell alone to go racing in peace. So even the motorboat image that I showed at the beginning, which was done a couple months ago now, Miles on a motorboat, he's focused this way. He's ignoring the bimbos. So, on the actual azimuth, they have an outdoor kitchen right there with a grill, but clearly he's got it closed up for right now. Draw the wheel here. He probably would be able to see a little bit out to the front. Miles is a big fan of wingtips, so going to sort of reflect that in his little shoes here. a little bit of texture into Miles' shirt. I don't think you'd actually be allowed to name your boat Tail Chaser. Um, um, they do a lot of, like, innuendo and whatnot, but technically speaking, boat names aren't supposed to be vulgar. Now if he called it Sail Chaser, he'd probably get away with it, but hey, it's a, cartoon world, so he gets to call it whatever he likes. Tail Chaser 2, which implies there's a Tail Chaser 1, but perhaps the Tail Chaser 1 is that little motorboat. Now, the blue that's under here is a non-photo blue, um, pencil underdrawing. When this is scanned in black and white, that's gonna vanish, so the fact that I was not as cautious in, the underdrawing on the lettering, not gonna worry about it. Now, I'm gonna let that nib soak for a little bit, and quickly, while I think of it, I'm going to put some darker, areas into Miles's hairdo, and then we will come back and, play some more with the second drawing. This is mostly dry, but I think I'm gonna flip it upside down just for easier access and less risk of, dragging my forearm across anything that might not actually be 100% dry yet. gives a better sense of Miles's proper hairdo. I'm gonna add a couple random little tiny little lines, which may not even really show on camera, but the idea is we want a couple of like what? That's too much, but what the odd little bit here and there of hairs that are a little bit out of place. It just makes his hair look a little more real, I think. And I know it's weird to say make him look a little more real, and it's a mouse, half rat dude who's buying a yacht. I know, but anyways, now let's. Yeah, I'm gonna finish off drawing the engines, and then we can add some more shadows and whatnot. And of course, we got to do all the water. You know, let's mess with the water first. Sometimes these crow quill nibs work great for me, and sometimes they do not cooperate. I guess today they're going to cooperate, so I'm just kind of going back and forth a little bit. Get the sense of ripples on the water, but not too, you know. I'll probably go with a thicker nib to put in some areas of shadow and whatnot. Certainly by the time we get to about here, we definitely have well-defined ripples, but out here it's kind of more just shading. There will be a bit of a size reduction on this. Um, at least is my plan. This is supposed to be a relatively small book. Um, still, so when you have that kind of reduction, sometimes your detail in these kind of fine lines tends to go bye-bye a little bit. We'll see, right? That's always something you can kind of play with in Photoshop if I need to add some more details or go over some of these lines in Photoshop and make them fatter so they stand out more, whatever. One of the reasons why I will be going with a fatter nib to add in depth is right now to my eye, like there's some contrast there, but there's a lot of very similar tones. So when I put in some more blacks in here, then that'll kind of have things looking more balanced. balanced but also contrasted so it doesn't all kind of blend together. Also, when you're looking out across a bay, that part's gonna be lighter because it starts to reflect the light more and bounce light, whereas here it starts getting darker 'cause, um, I guess you can see through the water more, or your angle of viewing it is different, so it looks, blacker. We'll worry about the rest after. So, take a little sip of water here, so this I'm gonna fill in with solid black, so I'm just gonna scribble across there for now to remind me. The actual Azimuth yacht has 3 Mercury 450 racing outboard motors, I think, something like that. So, now let's fatten some of those lines up. I'll flip this upside down, make my life a little bit easier. I'll make the entry down into the cabins really dark and shadowy. I think what we need here is some big shadows in the water because that'll help pop the boat out. So adding these kind of darker spots into the water, it does help pop the boat quite a bit. Eh, Not being as crazy with it when we're seeing through the windows, like here. Um, Kind of rather have those kind of be lighter, like. And I do think some of these areas need a little more shadow, but I think I'm gonna do that with our friend the crow quill. I feel like a slightly thicker outline on the actual boat, like here, might help. Maybe I'm overthinking that, but we're gonna give it a shot. I should probably stop right there because I feel like I'm going to overdo it. Um, so let's have one more look at what we've done so far tonight. Well, what we've done tonight, 'cause I don't have anything else prepped. And we'll wrap up the stream a little bit early, but so we started. This is the Y spread for the book I'm working on, Miles Marav's Pursuit of Happiness. Um, just want to tweak something with Miles's hair. Um, so Miles is getting himself a yacht, or at least he's imagining that he's getting himself a yacht. We'll find out when the story gets written if he actually does part with his money. But so there he is. It's the Azimouse Nerve 42, bit of a spoof on the Azimut Verve 42 yacht, which is kind of determined as a pocket cruiser. Anyways, so he's looking at the literature and obviously likes what he's seeing or likes what he's imagining he's seeing. And here we have a view from the stern on his Azimos Nerve 42. And it's based again, you know, on video tours I saw. This part is a little bit messed up how I drew it, but whatever. Um, so he's there. He's got his champagne. He's got his key. He's got the boat to himself. Triple outboard engines there. He's off the pier here. Um, just thinking, actually, that might be what's kind of bothering me. That looks almost like it should be a sandy beach, but it's not. Anyways, so I think I'm going to leave it at that for tonight. The usual streaming schedule applies. I'm streaming every night this week, Monday through Friday, different project every time. Tomorrow night we are working on Noah's Archipelago with the Book of Days, and it'll be the November drawing, I think, in honor of Election Day. We're going to have tomorrow's drawing. I think it's going to be Ursula trying to run for the school board, so that she can wield authority to ban math class. I don't think 8-year-olds are eligible to run for the school board, but why let a little thing like facts get in the way? So Wednesday we are finishing up with Zalmo's Secret Basement Lab. Thursday we do a couple more of Noah's jobs for the coloring book project that I'm working on, and then Friday we are inking 2, maybe 3 more pages from Ricky B Goes to Sea, that being Miles's cousin's boyfriend, Ricky. So that is, oh, the other thing I'm going to say, if you're watching now and you missed the first part of the stream or whatever, what I do is I save it as private so that YouTube can do its video processing or whatever. And when it finishes that, usually sometime in the afternoon tomorrow, then I will make the stream public again. So if you're wondering why it vanished, that'll be why. It'll come back. So thank you for watching, everyone, and I think we will call it there for the night. We'll leave Miles to celebrate having his new yacht all to himself. Anyways, see y'all real soon. Bye for now.